Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emory Hunt, the Czar of the playbook, and welcome to another edition of 4 Downs with the Czar here at MetLife Stadium, where the New York Giants knocked off the Baltimore Ravens by the score of 27-23. Let's start off with first down, taking a look at the Giants offense in the first half. I thought throughout the first quarter, they couldn't get out of their own way. They didn't actually pick up their first down until the second quarter, and that's when you start to see their passing game get going with guys like Will Tye, Odell Beckham Jr., and Victor Cruz. But early on in this ball game, Baltimore really stymied that Giants offensive attack. Moving on to the Ravens offense, despite missing 3 key starters in Marshall Yanda, Steve Smith Sr., and Ronnie Stanley, this offense put together a workmanlike effort, especially on the second drive. The first drive, they were able to march down the field and get a field goal. The second drive, they benefited from a Giants turnover, but they came down, marched down the field again, and put the ball in the end zone, one of 2 Terrence West touchdowns. So again, I thought this offense, despite some of their key starters, put together a workmanlike effort and really got the job done in the first half. First half defensive takeaways for the New York Giants. Their run fits were awesome. I thought they did a great job in shutting down the running game of Baltimore, who came into this contest trying to get the ground game going. They utilized double tight end sets a lot. Fullback Kyle Juszczyk was heavily involved, but the Giants' run fits were perfect. They shut the run down in the pass defense department. You saw them get creative in how they were covering those wide receivers. Leon Hall was coming off the edge. Landon Collins was also coming off the edge. So they got creative. They really shut down, outside of the 10-0 start, they shut down that Ravens offense in the second quarter and ended up carrying them throughout the course of this game. First half defensive takeaways for the Baltimore Ravens. I thought they did a good job in playing with great gap control. They really shut down the Giants running game. In the passing game, they smothered the receivers on the outside. They went single high a lot and was able to hold their own in one-on-one coverage. The defensive line did a good job in collapsing the pocket, not really getting pressure on Eli Manning, but did enough to frustrate him, the running game and also the passing game. Now let's move on to third down. Second half offensive takeaways. Looking at the Giants offense, the second half was essentially all about the deep ball. Victor Cruz had some big plays on third down, but really Odell Beckham Jr. came alive. He had a hip pointer in the first half, showed it wasn't a problem in the second half as he caught nearly 180 yards in that second half with the game-winning touchdown. Finished with over 220 on the day, but in the second half, the offense still didn't have a ground game, but they found Odell Beckham. They were finding the deep ball down the field, which was huge in this contest, ultimately winning them the game. And so one thing I thought they did very well in the second half, from the onset, move with a little bit more tempo, a little bit more pace. They went no huddle, hurry up, out of the spread formation. That was a great job by Ben McAdoo spreading out that 3-4 defense. That's where they gave the Ravens problems because, again, when you look at that spread set, you have Victor Cruz, you have Sterling Shepard, and Odell Beckham. That's a tough matchup for anyone in the NFL. So they spread the field, pushed the tempo, and they were able to have some success. Second half offensive takeaways for the Baltimore Ravens. Once again, the running game wasn't there for them to have as much success, but Joe Flacco did what he had to do to keep this offense on pace, move the football down the field, and he hit a couple of deep passes down the field. Now, questionable calls by the referees aided one of them, but the other was a beautiful rainbow, I believe, to Kamar Aiken, who had that takeoff route anytime he wanted in this ball game. Moving on to the second half defensive takeaways for the New York Giants. Again, a solid effort throughout. The Ravens still didn't have a ground game. The passing game was aided by maybe a couple of questionable pass interference calls, but overall, this Giants defense once again stepped up big when they had to. Moving on to the Ravens defensive takeaways from the second half, I thought they continued to stop the run very well. The Giants are very one-dimensional in their approach. Also, they started to get pressure on Eli Manning. Terrell Suggs had a sack. They started to frustrate that pocket a little bit. The one thing they couldn't do was shut down Odell Beckham, which ended up costing them the game because they gave up a key slant touchdown on fourth down. Had they made that stop, game would have been over, but that's been the issue for Baltimore. And again, I thought they played well even without Jimmy Smith, who didn't play in the second half because of a concussion. The secondary held up for the most part. Pass rush started to get there. Run defense stayed solid. Let's take a look at some of the players of the game, starting with the Giants offensive player of the game, Odell Beckham Jr., over 220 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns, including the game winner. It's an obvious choice. This is a guy that's a legit game breaker in the NFL. Defensive player of the game for the Giants, Landon Collins. Once again, I thought he was all over the field, making plays on both ends of defense, stopping the run, blitzing off the corner, making plays in the passing game. So both Odell Beckham and Landon Collins earned player of the game awards from us. Offensive player of the game for the Baltimore Ravens, Terrence West, the outstanding tailback, ran well today against his Giants' tough defensive front seven, 87 yards on the ground, 2 rushing touchdowns. I thought he played a great game And defensively, I look at defensive tackle Zach Orr, 9 tackles, 4 solo stops. He was, again, all over the field and a disruptive force against that Giants offensive attack. So that's a wrap from MetLife Stadium. I'm Emory Hunt, the Czar of the Playbook. For more of our 4 Down with the Czar segments, visit our website at footballgameplan.com/4downs with the Czar.